This is the latest instalment. I've just had a coffee at the Green Cafe and driven north. Pulled over to set my camera up. We're heading over to Petriti. This is the road that leads up to Argyrades, where we have to turn off. I have to drive up this road every time I come for a drink in St George. And whenever I drive up this section here, just before Argyrades, especially of an evening, there's always bats flying around, and you see lots of wild creatures like beech martins as well. This is the start of Argyrades, where the houses start. I know a few English who live up here, and lots of Greeks. And a year or two ago I was thinking of moving to this village because I know so many people, but the houses are really small, and even though I live on my own, I like a bit of space, and they just weren't big enough, so I didn't bother. We turn right here. This road's a bit treacherous. That little road there on the left, well, it's a really steep hill, that goes up to a great taverna. It got taken over by new owners last year. It used to be called the Cockerel's Nest. I think it's called the Fireplace now, but a great taverna, especially in the winter. Big roaring open fireplace. Only a small menu, but it doesn't matter, it's a great place. And we're descending now. This is the start of Argyrades, on the way to the other side of the island. I know one or two English who live down here as well. And it gets a bit narrow and treacherous, and you get all sorts of vehicles down here, tourist coaches, petrol tankers, so you have to be really careful. And it's a bit windy, this road. Oh. But I always recommend to people when they're here, rather than go just to Corfu town, which is really hot and busy and a bit of a nightmare for parking, just go to the local places. If you're staying in the south, go to the local places, and Petriti's a fantastic place. Lots of fish tavernas, the fishing boats, and the locals fish there as well off the end of the pier. Couple of small bars, mostly with Greeks in them. Just a great place. And obviously from the eastern side of the island, You look across the water and you're very close to the mainland. You can see the mainland with all the ferries going by. I don't know whether you can see it, but coming up on the hill, right in front now, really high up, that's Clomos, another great place to visit. Some of the places, they've got panoramic views. You can see all of the south of the island because it's so high up. And you can see the east and west coasts, and almost all the way down in the south to Kavos and Lefkimi. And there's not a lot up in Clomos. There's a couple of bars, maybe a taverna or two, but it's still worth visiting for the views. But once again, it's another nightmare place to get up because narrow roads, really windy and bendy roads. Bit of a challenge to drive up there, but it's worth it. Little T-junction here. If you go left is the village of Argyrades. We're going right, Petriti. There's a few holiday apartments dotted around here, but I doubt if the English ever stay in them. It's mostly Germans, if anyone's staying in them at all, because the Germans come over, a lot of them are cyclists. They cycle down from Germany and come across on the ferry. That was the turn off there for Notos, and Notos is a great place. There's some great tavernas there, and also up to Agios Nicholas, which is pretty high up. I know a few people who live up there. Terrible place to drive, the roads are so narrow. But later on in the year, we have to bear left here. Yeah, a bit later in the year, and we go right here. There's a really nice festival here in Petriti. I think they call them the Varkarolas. It's to do with being near the sea. They have one up in Paleokastrica too, but the one here, it's the Sardine Festival, and you get a free plate of sardines and bread. It's really good. And just here on the right is the local football pitch. It's one of the few places in South Corfu where they've got a pitch. There's one in Lefkimi, one in Perivoli, and one here. Right, this is the start of Petriti. You can go right down there, and there's a lot of tavernas. I think there's a donkey in that field as well. There's a small bar here, just here, on the right, called Limani. Very good little bar. And we're in Petriti. I'm going to park up here and take a few photos.